and welcome to the Florida Caniac Perspective. I am the Florida Caniac, and the past 3 games have been a little bit of a roller coaster, hasn't it been?
And Winnipeg gets back to their team game right from the start. Great habits, well prepared, and they walk out of Raleigh with 2 points.
But I think in this instant right here in this game, I think they came out there a little rusty, took a couple penalties, and that was kind of it. I think Carolina really worked hard, and they weren't happy with the game last night. They came out and played a great game, and they were just a better team.
And time will expire for Peter Mrazek, his 4th shutout this season, 18th of his career. And the Avs have been held scoreless for the 5th time in 2018 and 19.
In today's episode, we're going to go over the current playoff standings and what Carolina needs to do to not only maintain a playoff spot, but maybe even climb up in the Metropolitan Division standings. We're going to go ahead and tackle some of your questions from Ask the Florida Caniac, and a very special interview through Know Your Caniacs with the Kilted Caniac. Let's dive in. So I can see the playoff picture is starting to get a little tight here. Pittsburgh right now currently owns the 3rd seed in the Metropolitan Division. However, looking at Carolina, they do have a game in hand, which they do get against the Columbus Blue Jackets on Friday. And let's hope we get the same result from John Tortorella.
We sucked. A number of guys didn't play well.
Yeah, that was my favorite quote from him this season. Then they turn around and head right back home for a 5-game homestand, starting off the very next day against the Buffalo Sabres. This should be a tough test being a back-to-back game, but Buffalo has been teetering a little bit lately on the negative side, and that should be in Carolina's favor for sure. However, this is the 2nd game where Jeff Skinner is back in town. Follow that up with a few days off, and then we play the one team that does give Carolina a little bit of a hiccup, and that is the Pittsburgh Penguins, which they are battling for that division spot and also a wild card spot all at the same time. To me, this is a must-win game all the way through, and I think every fan that's watching this can actually agree that Pittsburgh is the one team that is favored to make a deep run if they do make the playoffs, as well as the team that is the biggest threat to Carolina's playoff hopes and even the Metropolitan Division spot. Follow that up by the Tampa Bay Lightning. This one, like I said last episode, this is not one of those where I feel you need to chalk it up as a loss. This is one of those games where I do feel Tampa could be a good game for Carolina to play against, and they might actually steal a win here and there. Tampa doesn't look to be pumping the brakes anytime soon, however. The difference in this game versus the last time, which was in Tampa, this time it's in Raleigh, where Tampa, late in the seasons in the past, have not favored that well in Raleigh during this time of the year. So this could be one of those games where it could be a trap game against Tampa. And that's something that Carolina, I feel, needs to take advantage of if that becomes the case. Then 2 more games at home that are back-to-back, one against the Minnesota Wild, and then follow that up by the other team fighting for a wild card spot, the Montreal Canadiens. Another very important game right there as well. So looking at the standings and looking overall at what this team needs to do to win the Metropolitan spot instead of the wild card spot, they simply need to win the games that are against Metropolitan Division teams and Eastern Division teams. However, we all can hope for a 6-0 record down the stretch of this 1 road game and 5 home games. That's not going to be the case, and we all should know better than that. If it happens, great. If not, if they can win, I feel 4 out of the 6 games, this team is in prime shape to make the playoffs and in prime shape to make the Metropolitan 3, even 2 seed, I feel, for this team. And now it's time to answer some of your questions you posted to the Florida Caniac using the hashtag AskFloridaCaniac. You can submit your questions through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or you can submit a video question to rjmeir@icloud.com. Let's go ahead and get to the first question, which comes from Richard Shell, and he asks, what team is the best first-round matchup for Carolina should they make the playoffs? Now, I've been looking over at the seeding here, and right now, looking at the current standings, Carolina would literally be the first wild card spot, just below Pittsburgh, but just ahead of Columbus as well. Again, that's if the season ended today. In this case, the matchup would be the Washington Capitals playing them in the first round. And that's actually a pretty good matchup. Washington and Carolina have been very close games. However, Washington has been in favor this year versus them overall. I feel the better matchup would honestly be, as crazy as it sounds, against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Think about it. They've won the previous 2 games against them, and one of those games has been very convincingly so. And the second game, when they did have the full squad, that means Pittsburgh having the full squad, they still favored against him very well as well, and the goaltending was superior during that game, actually both games as well. So a true test to that would actually be the upcoming game against Pittsburgh that they will be playing, and that'll give me a better idea is if Pittsburgh will be the better matchup for Carolina. But I wouldn't also take away the idea of the Islanders either, although most of the games they have lost against the Islanders, they have been very close. With that said, I think that would be a tight series as well. So for me, overall, between those three teams would actually be favorable matchups for the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs. Thank you again for that question, Richard. That was a good one. Up next would be Evan Grizzard, who just put a new group page up called the Camel City Caniacs. Definitely check it out if you're on Facebook. I think you guys will really enjoy it as he's trying to get things up and running there. He asked a pretty funny question. What are some Hurricane superstitions not necessarily centered around the playoffs? Good question. Now, we all know the typical playoff superstitions. The beers, the driving to the rink the same way, the same routines throughout in and out of the day, each day, and so on. However, when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes, they do have some interesting superstitions. One I know for a fact actually comes from Justin Falk. He likes warming up the same exact way. Same type of skate stride, same type of stick handling, same type of checking the accuracy on the net, and same types of shots against the goalies. Check it out next time. It's pretty similar, especially go to a lot of games. I will say another one will probably be Andrei Svechnikov, simply because he's just getting his bearings into the NHL, and he probably doesn't want to change too much of his everyday routine as he's in the league as well. That might change down the road, but for right now, I think he's the same way as Justin Falk overall. Another good one I would also say is probably Justin Williams. He's kind of been changing it up here and there. However, with this team, he has had a lot more fun, and I'm going to call that a little bit of a superstition. If he's not having fun on the ice or having fun with the team or even coming up with an awesome celebration for the Storm Surge, I would say this is a kind of a superstition as well. But I hope that answers your question, Evan, and I really appreciate that. Again, guys, definitely post your questions all over social media again, and I'll really appreciate those. And now it's time to Know Your Caniacs. In this special St. Patrick's Day edition of Know Your Caniacs, I got to interview Jeff Dwyer, also known as the Kilted Caniac. If you're not sure who this guy is, go up into section 318 or just walk around the entire PSC arena. You see a guy in a kilted skirt? That's the guy. That is the Kilted Caniac. One of the most passionate Caniacs I know to this day, and boy does he love the color green. Check this out. Kilted Caniac, pleasure to meet you.
Same.
Tell me a little bit about your situation here.
So, I started out as a Rangers fan growing up, but then I moved to North Carolina. I fell in love with the team. Who can't fall in love with a team like this, especially this season? So being a Rangers fan, now being a Caniac fan, it's almost like one and the same because we're used to heartbreak. But you know what? This year it's kind of different for these boys, just because they have a push, they have a confidence about them, pushing them further and further and further down. And it started about midway through the season, just after the slump, and then after the New Year, it just exploded. So.
Okay. Now, do you always have a different kilt every time because of the Whaler jersey this time, or?
Normally, I have the St. Patrick's Day jersey on.
Okay.
And I have like a really green kilt that matches the thing or the St. Patrick's Day jersey really well. The reason I do it is because I just want to share the passion and everything that I feel and love about ice hockey. I want to share that with everybody else and have them have the same feeling that I feel about hockey. So.
Good stuff, good stuff. So how do people find you? What do you do? What's your big antic that you like to do out there?
In between puck drops, I like to get up, I like to dance, I like to entertain the crowd.
Okay.
I used to be a mascot over in England for a semi-pro team. I was highly involved with the team. I have a huge following over there. Every time they get into a playoff situation, I have people telling me, hey, can you send us a video, pump up the team a little bit. So every year, or every time they get into a playoff situation, I send them a video and just kind of like wish them good luck, tell them that, you know what, it's one shift at a time, one period at a time, one goal at a time. Go out there, find each other, and know where each other are to put the biscuit in the basket.
Cool, man. Cool, man. And how do people find you online?
I'm at Kilted Caniac on Twitter.
Okay.
I mainly use that for my cane stuff, so that's the best way to find me via Twitter. I use my other accounts for other situations, but I'm also on Instagram under HT or Sexy HT Hockey Goalie 35.
Okay.
So.
Good stuff, man. pleasure, man. Look forward to seeing you back on the Jumbotron as always, man.
Oh, definitely.
All right,
have a good one.
appreciate it.
No worries.
Boy, he really is a great guy, isn't he? Kilta Caniac is one of the greatest fans, again, like I said, and I also like to thank him for his years of service to the military. If you happen to see the guy in the green kilt walking around PNC Arena along with either the Whalers jersey or the Shamrock Carolina Hurricanes jersey, definitely stop him, say hi, and tell him you saw him on the Florida Caniac Perspective, and I'm sure he'll get a pretty good kick out of it. If you'd like to know how to get one of these cool Shamrock shirts to go along with it, definitely check out my store on Amazon where there's other models available as well. Or if you like one of these hats, definitely check out squadlocker.com for those as well. Any item you purchase does get you into a drawing to win the Noah Hannafin All-Star jersey from the year that it was in Tampa Bay. Thank you again for this episode of the Florida Caniac Perspective. Let's keep cheering these boys on, and as always, go Canes!